Today, we're taking a look at this. This is the Beta FPV Cetus Pro Ready to Fly kit, and it's quite possibly the best way to understand and learn how to fly FPV for the cheapest amount of money. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Ken here. You're watching Original Dobo, and today we're taking a look at this. This is the Beta FPV Cetus Pro Ready to Fly kit, and it's probably the best way to get into the hobby for the least amount of money. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, how do I learn how to fly FPV, and what gear should I be looking at it? And my response to many people is a simulator, of course, and I think that's a lot of people's first response when somebody asks. But if you want to get the true real-to-life experience for as little amount of investment as possible, this is going to be your go-to. So this is the Cetus Ready to Fly kit, and it comes with a set of goggles, a controller, of course, the drone, and then it does come with 2 batteries and a charger. We're going to go through and take a look at all of these items here on the table, and we'll talk about them individually. But first, let's talk about the new Cetus drone. So this thing is actually pretty nimble. It's super tiny, and it runs 1S style batteries. These are 450 1S batteries. It has 18,000 kV motors, and it has 1102 stators. So it has a little bit larger stator than what was on some of these other little tiny whoops. I think that's what makes this thing most stable. But this little guy has a really, really neat trick up its sleeve, something that no other ready to fly kit like this in its price range offers, which is at the very bottom of this, there is a laser that can actually hover, auto hover, and hold its position. Now, I'm going to put asterisks around holding its position because it does it okay. It hovers, but it doesn't hold its position all that well. It's going to be really dependent on how you are moving the sticks or your environment. If you're indoors, be careful, because a couple of times this thing literally shot sky high on me with the altitude hold. But it is a neat trick because as a beginner, you can sort of line of sight things a little bit and get used to the controls and how it actually interacts with your inputs. So it does work. I wouldn't say it works incredibly well, but it is something nice. I guess it's better than not having it at all. The overall airframe of this is made out of plastic, and it's not a fragile plastic. It is actually pretty durable. I did crash it quite a few times here in the shop, and it's absolutely fine. It works really, really well, so I can't really complain too much about this. The motor removal is actually really easy. You have 3 bolts in each motor, and then they just sort of plug in. So if you did have to replace any of the components on this, it is going to be relatively simple, as it is basically plug and play, which is pretty nice. Now, the batteries it's using is 450 mAh 1S batteries, and the charging process of these batteries is simple. An absolute idiot can charge these batteries. You're going to get a charger, plugs in with the USB-C. You simply then take your batteries, plug them in. It's going to let you know the voltage of those batteries, and then you basically charge it. It's super simple. You don't really have to worry about these exploding. And best practices, obviously, make sure you're charging on something that is fireproof and that you're always in the room when these are charging. But it is a lot less unsafe than charging something like a 4S or a 6S larger cell count battery, where the risk of fire is a little bit greater. These you can pretty much pick up with your hand. If there's a problem, throw them away. Not recommending you do that, but you could if you had to. So batteries last for about 3.5 minutes or so. If you're being overly aggressive, they're not going to last very long. You're going to get about 2 minutes of flight out of this, but it's enough to get you understanding the stick movements. Now, I will say that flying a smaller drone is sometimes a little bit more difficult than flying something like a 5-inch, but if you can learn how to fly this, you'll be able to fly almost anything. Let's talk about the goggles, because the goggles are a little bit different than some of their older ready to fly kits. You'll notice there are no antennas. Everything is now internal on this. There is 3 buttons on the side. There's a channel change, a scan button, and then an up, down forward menu change along with the power on button. And then there's a port for the USB-C. There is no SD card, so there's no built-in DVR on these. So the DVR that you are seeing is out of my Fat Shark goggles and not actually out of these. I needed some way to show you what the camera looked like, so I just did some DVR with my Fat Shark goggles. But there is no way to record on these goggles. So you'll probably definitely want to invest in better goggles. I will say though that the image is pretty crisp out of these, and they are sort of comfortable. They're a little bit more comfortable than older goggles to wear. So just sort of throw these on to sort of give you an idea of what these look like, but there is padding on these now, which make them a little bit more comfortable. I had some of the older Cinewhoop, or I should say Whoops, from Beta FPV where they sold goggles with them and they weren't very comfortable. These are a lot more comfortable. They fixed the area around the nose where it's not cutting my nose like it was in the past. But these work really well. Again, they charge with USB-C. Everything charges USB-C, which is really nice because you only need one charger, one cord for everything. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up some DVR footage and just sort of talk you through what's happening. So again, using my Fat Sharks to record the DVR footage, and I tried doing the altitude hold or the auto hover, I guess they're calling it, and it worked out okay. I wouldn't say it was amazing. You can see it started drifting a little bit. And then one of the times it actually shot straight up into the ceiling, which I had to disarm it, which was a bit annoying. But flying it around in just the slow mode in manual, it flies pretty well. It's pretty nimble. It's pretty agile. I'm not really all that accustomed to these, I guess, these sticks. They're a little bit shorter on the throw. So once you start flying FPV for a little bit, you start getting accustomed to certain RCs. I'm not accustomed to this at all. So that is going to take some time to get used to, but I think it did pretty good. I don't have a lot of space here to work with. I'm only working with 400 square feet. So I got to be careful about how fast I'm really flying. There are a lot of hanging wires in here, but I think it did pretty good. Like I said, I crashed a couple of times and it's fine. There's no cracks. There's no damage to it, which is really great. One of the other things you want to consider when you're thinking about buying something like this is the process of understanding Betaflight. They do make it easy to understand Betaflight, but one of the nice things is because this is ready to fly, the switches are already pre-programmed. Your arm switch is going to be right down here on the SA button. So flip it up, that's going to arm it, flip it down, it's going to disarm it. If you're unsure of that, just keep your stick up before you actually plug in your battery and then drop your stick down when you plug your battery in, just in case. The good thing is you're not going to get really hurt on any of these props or motors. I think it's pretty safe for the most part. But all in all, I feel like this is probably the best way to go if you're curious about FPV. For $159, you're not going to really go wrong. Now, this is the Pro version, which is a little bit different than the other version, has some different motors, some slightly different things on it. But I'll have links in the description below where you can get this or the regular Cetus version, which are in stock at some of the various retailers across the country. So if you want to get your hands on one of these relatively quick and start learning how to fly, again, I think this is better than a sim because it puts you in a real life environment. And I think for a lot of people, once they start flying, they're going to get absolutely hooked. And then you'll be like me, sleeping on a couch, broke, and addicted to FPV. All right, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button, do all the YouTube-y type of things. I'll see you in the next video. Stay original.